What up, YouTube? It's Rules for Rebels here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about how to go about contacting Alibaba suppliers and actually getting responses. I get a lot of emails and YouTube comments from you guys saying, look, I'm contacting all these Alibaba suppliers and nobody is responding back to me. And I've run into the same thing. Some suppliers just aren't going to respond back to you. Some suppliers, unless you're willing to order, 5,000 pieces of inventory, aren't even going to mess with you. That said, there's plenty of suppliers happy to work with lower MOQs or minimum order quantities. Not every supplier is going to require that you buy 10,000 units. A lot of suppliers will private label for you on smaller MOQs. There are suppliers out there who will private label a single piece just so you can see a sample. So, if one supplier won't do what you want, whether it's the payment method, the shipping method, tweaking a product or making a product slightly differently, there's a million other factories and suppliers out there who will. So in this video, I just wanted to go through kind of how to go about contacting Alibaba suppliers and making sure that you actually get a response. And a lot of it has to do with just, your tone and how you contact them. So let's jump right into this. So how to contact Alibaba suppliers. And here's just some general tips I have for you. Number one, don't ask for samples in your first email. The reason being, obviously stuff on Alibaba is really cheap. Alibaba isn't really a trade secret anymore. It's pretty much a household name. We all heard about, most people are familiar with AliExpress and therefore know about Alibaba. But also, Alibaba went public a while ago. They've been in the news. People in business know them. So it's not like Alibaba is some trade secret where you only know about it if you're an importer. Pretty much everybody knows about Alibaba. So there are people out there who are like, I want to get a SJ4000 action camera. Rather than going to eBay or Amazon, I'm just going to go over to Alibaba for these sellers who sell it for, an eighth of the price. And I'm going to tell this guy I want to order a sample piece. And I have no intention of actually ordering products to sell. I'm just going to try to get myself a free or a cheap product. And in the past, Alibaba suppliers used to send out a lot of free samples. But I think a lot of people abused the whole free sample thing. So now pretty much most suppliers, if you want samples, are going to require you pay for the product and the shipping, or at the very least the shipping. So don't ask for samples in your first email. Number two, seem larger than you are. Don't say, hi, I'm Bob. I'm just getting started selling on eBay. I was wondering if I could order 5 of your, blah, blah, blah to see if they sell. Not a good way to contact them. They want to deal with larger buyers who are going to buy more pieces, who are going to buy more frequently. So I'm not necessarily saying mislead people, but don't go out of your way to tell somebody that you're new or that you're not moving a lot of inventory or anything else. If you have a website, mention your website. If you have a website called turtledoves.com that sells turtles or whatever it is you're going to sell, mention to the supplier, here's I'm looking to sell your product on my website, blah, blah, blah. Even if the site isn't active yet, you've bought the domain, our developers and designers are currently working on our website, blah, blah, blah. We should be launching in May, and it basically makes it seem like you have a team of people working with you, and you're not just going to run out and set up a $16 Shopify store and sell some of this stuff. So seem larger than you actually are. Technically speaking, you can make up the name of a company you're with. Again, I'm not a big fan of lying. So if you don't have a company, it's up to you whether you want to say you have one or not. But let's just say, for example, me, if I'm contacting a company, I might say, hey, my name's Rules for Rebels, and I'm contacting you on behalf of MCN Wholesale Ventures, and we're looking for a supplier of blah, blah, blah. And it makes it seem like you're a company and not just an individual. I don't care if you set up a single member LLC that you just set up last week on LegalZoom. If you have a company, mention the name of the company, and it just makes it seem larger, more credible, and they're more likely to respond back to you. Number three, I mentioned this, but if you have a website or a company name, mention it. And number four, understand everything is up for negotiation. I know that a few suppliers will list lower MOQs or minimum order quantities. But in general, a lot of suppliers are, our MOQ is 3,000 pieces. Even if someone says their MOQ is 3,000 pieces, I can typically get that down to about 100 pieces. So, some factories who are bigger and have a lot of business may not be willing to do that. But, there's dozens, if not hundreds of suppliers for every single product you can find out there. So if one supplier won't work with you, I can pretty much guarantee there's another one that will. So let's move on. The initial contact or sample email, I just plucked this one offline. I typically tweak mine a little bit differently, but this is going to give you kind of an idea. So I might say something like this. Hello, my name is Rules for Rebels, and I'm contacting you on behalf of R for R Wholesales, and I'm searching for a reliable supplier of XYZ products. We might, I'm searching for a reliable seller of, bulletproof glass screen protector phones, whatever it may be, to sell on my website, turtledoves.com. I just threw that out there. I came across your company in my research and wanted to get some further information regarding your minimum order quantities, FOB pricing, and also the possibility of OEM packaging. So, minimum order quantity is MOQ. I believe is how it's listed on Alibaba. That refers to the smallest minimum order quantity that they're willing to take. Like I said, they'll normally take something much, much less than that. One thing you may also want to ask about is the MOQ for a general order, as well as the MOQ for OEM packaging or putting your label on the actual product. FOB pricing refers to freight on board. This basically means that it's going to be shipped by air to your door and you're not going to have to deal with any custom stuff. Sea shipping is something totally different. And even within sea shipping, there's some sea shipping arrangements where they'll just get it to a port. So, I'm in Chicago, so I might order something that may come into a port in Houston or Long Beach or even New York. And I have to figure out how to get the items from that port to my house. Typically, you'll use what's called a freight forwarder, and typically they'll also handle all your customs paperwork and stuff for you. It's not cheap. I think last time I used a freight forwarder, it was on like a $6,000 or $8,000 order, and I think they wound up charging me, when everything was said and done, probably between $600 and $800, and that's for customs fees, customs documents, the FedEx shipping to a trucking facility in my local area. So that's basically how that worked. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of run over what these terms mean. And then lastly, OEM packaging would be like custom packaging with your company name or branding on it. So we'll move on. So could you please get back to me as soon as possible with the above information? My email is @gmail.com. One thing about emails, be careful giving out your personal email to people. And the reason I say this is because I don't know if when they get your email, they put you on some email list or they pass along your email to all their cousins or something like that. As soon as I put in a supply request and give an email address, I'm literally bombarded with emails from wholesalers and Alibaba. And that may be a good thing if you're looking for a lot of products and you like having things come through, but it's a lot of emails. And honestly, I wouldn't even mind it if it were relevant emails, like for the product that I'm looking for. I just submitted a product request looking into a new product the other day, and literally I get 10 emails a day like, we have iPhones, we have iPads, and obviously it's all counterfeit, knockoff stuff. We have the Note 5, we have this. And, you can get an iPhone for $100 or whatever. It's obviously a knockoff. But I get emails all day long every day trying to sell me knockoff iPhones, iPads, Samsung S7s, etc. So just realize that, they are going to blow up your email. So you may want to set up an email just to use for Alibaba contacts. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you, hopefully placing an order with your company. Kind regards, Rules for Rebels, Chicago. I might also include my company name and website name below here. The goal of this initial contact is to get the following information. Pricing, and I'll typically ask for pricing at a couple different price points. What's your price on 100 units, 1,000 units, and 5,000 units? MOQ, that is minimum order quantity. What's the minimum order that they're going to require you to order? And you may also want to ask, typically there might be, like I think I already mentioned this, but there may be one minimum, let's say I'm ordering baby tether rings, wooden tether rings. There may be a minimum order quantity just for plain ones. So for plain ones, they may only make me order 100. But if I want, OEM or private labeling, or if I want, my company name laser engraved on the wood, then they might require 300 units or 500 units. So ask if there's any difference in MOQ pricing for plain or generic units versus, private labeled or branded units. Next, sample availability and pricing. Some people will send out free samples. Some people will send you the product for free but make you pay for the shipping, and some people will make you pay for both. Samples tend to be not that cheap. They're not really. If you're ordering one sample piece, they typically won't rake you over the coals, but at the same time, they're not going to give you the pricing as if you were buying 5,000 units. So, a lot of times my samples may cost me anywhere from $20 to $60, depending on what the product is. But the whole point of that is, I don't want to wait, weeks for the thing to get here. I'd like to get it in a couple days or a week or whatever, so that I can make my decision and move forward and get my business rolling. Next, ask for OEM options. Now, this can refer to either branding the actual product itself, or branding the packaging, or both. So again, in this example of wooden baby teether rings, I may want, laser engraving on the ring with my company name and my logo. I may just want special packaging done in a generic ring, or I may want both. So ask them about, the types of printing they offer. Is it embossed? Is it debossed? Is it laser engraved? And then as for the packaging, is it going to come in a box? Is it going to come in a poly bag with one of those, I forget what the word for it, with like one of those cardboard inserts stapled over the top? How is the packaging going to work? And lastly, manufacturing lead time. This is especially important if it's a custom product. If I'm just ordering regular baby teether rings, they may have to, they may wait for my order before making them, or they may have thousands of them sitting around in a warehouse and they just have to pack them up and ship them out. If I want my company name or logo or whatever laser engraved onto these baby teether rings, they're going to have to make those products for me. So how long is that going to take? And as I've mentioned in some other videos, when you're doing this, a lot of times what they're going to do is I may place an order and my order may be, the next one they're working on. However, if 2 hours after I order, let's say I ordered 200 pieces, a company comes and orders 1,000 pieces. Well, guess what? That order is getting bumped ahead of my order, and my order is, taking the back seat to that one. So until they finish that order, they're not going to work on mine. And typically this isn't a huge problem, but if you're dealing with like a really hot fad product, this could put you back weeks. And I'll give you an example. When hoverboards were really popular before Christmas, if you weren't ordering like thousands of units, or at the very least 500 units, you were nobody to them. This may seem kind of crazy to you guys, but they considered anything less than 100 pieces a sample order. So they would do an order of 50 pieces or 100 pieces, but they would consider it a sample order. Now, you had big importers and warehouses and things like that ordering, 40,000 pieces, 10,000 pieces, 5,000 pieces, 500 pieces. So, to me, 50 or 100 pieces of a product that costs $200, I'm dropping 10, 20, $30,000 on an order, but still, I'm small fish to the guy ordering 10,000 units. So what was frustrating, that's why I finally towards the end just started ordering my stuff from people who had already brought them into the country, because I may order 100 hoverboards, and every order that's larger than mine that comes through, I'm getting bumped back. So typically they wouldn't even start making my boards for 7 to 10 days after I already paid them, and sometimes I'd get bumped back as far as like 3 weeks or a month. And with a fad product like that, imagine if I placed an order in beginning of November, expecting to get it at the beginning of December, and have pretty much 30 days, or pretty much most of a whole month leading up till Christmas. If they bump my order back for 3 weeks and they don't make my order till December 1st, and then they ship it out, I'm getting my order a week into January when the hoverboard business is already dead, and I'm stuck on all these units that I way overpaid for. So that's something to watch out for if you're dealing with fad products at all. Next, the supplier will probably get back to you. At this point, you'll probably send them a request for a sample. So, dear Miss Yip, thank you for your email. I have gone over the information you sent, including the price list, and we are happy to go ahead with an order from you. However, since we would of course like to get some samples first to test the quality before moving on to our real order, so can we please arrange to have samples for products X, Y, and Z? I look forward to hearing from you. The supplier will typically contact back and say, okay, yes, we can do those. Do you want those samples generic or OEM? We can do those products for, $127, including, FedEx shipping or DHL shipping. So I agree to that. I'll typically pay them. Payment options will typically be either Western Union, Wire, or PayPal. Not all suppliers are going to offer PayPal. You can ask for PayPal. One other thing, a lot of people really get hung up wanting to protect themselves with PayPal. Alibaba has a feature called Alipay. They also have something called TT, which is basically an escrow system. So, those things are safe. Be comfortable using them. On a sample order, you can probably pay with PayPal, but just realize that when you go to place a real order, they're not going to accept PayPal from you. And if they do accept PayPal, they're going to charge you 5% for PayPal fees and the little extra percent or two for international. Now, lastly, a few things to keep in mind. Any legitimate supplier will send samples. If somebody won't send samples, don't deal with them. Never pay by Western Union until you've established a relationship with the supplier. I got burnt for $500 on 3 separate occasions doing Western Union. Many suppliers will accept PayPal and sample orders or first orders. Call a small order, a sample order. It can help with getting smaller MOQs. And lastly, be crystal clear about what you want and expect. I'm running out of time, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and ask any questions you have in the comment section below.